Panic at Mutant HQ! With Blink, Dreamer, and the Strucker kids at the mercy of Trask Industries and the evil Dr. Campbell, the rest of the team is split on what to do next. So while Caitlin and Reed attempt to appeal to Agent Turner's better nature, the rest of the mutants plan a desperate attack on the facility itself, neither aware that each is being secretly manipulated by the telepathic Esme. It's The Gifted, Season 1, Episode 10, Exploited. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of The Gifted. So yes, of course, spoilers, they are coming along. Alright, so we're sort of continuing our week of finales here on D's Reviews with this episode of The Gifted, and while they are calling it a fall finale, it's hard to kind of, look at it that way considering we're only off for 3 weeks. It doesn't really feel finale-ish. But the episode itself is very much presented, is very much sold as sort of a fall finale, as a big cliffhanger. We've got some great reveals, we got some good character moves, we get some losses, plus an amazing kind of twist at the end there. So a really good episode, moving us along, I think giving us a lot to deal with over our break before we pile back into the last 3 episodes or so. So we are dealing with the immediate fallout of course, the failure at the Trask Industries at the power substation and the capture of Blink, Dreamer, and the Strucker kids. And that sort of sets up the main conflict, the main sort of idea for this episode. And I think it's nice it's presented very strongly, very early, is what the heck do we do now? A lot of different ideas, a lot of different points. We've got, of course, Polaris, very go, let's get them, let's attack, let's save everybody. We got the Struckers, kind of like, hold off, that was risky, we don't want to risk any more lives. I mean, there's a lot of ideas that are going on. This is, the failure of an op. So yes, a lot of questions. But unfortunately, because of that sort of indecisiveness, because they're not clear. Because they're not clear on what they want to do, that does open the realm up for manipulations by one Esme, which we will be getting into. But I really more want to start off with a lot of the structure that went into sort of framing this episode in the idea of the political bent and viewpoint. X-Men has always been an amazing vehicle for dealing with racism and prejudice and those types of issues. Born out of the 1960s and the human rights movement, it is a very natural placeholder for those ideas, for recognizing people that are different but appear entirely the same, people that are part of your community and yet are being excluded and are being different and therefore pushed to the fringes of society in that manner. And the episode starts off with an excellent framing of that, our little 2 months ago, where we get our little first clue in on Esme and who her family is, with Senator Montez, re-elect Montez. Human choices for a human future. Paid for by Campaign for a Mutant-Free America. So we're seeing here with mutants the same framework that we're looking at a lot of the immigrant ideas of immigrants being people that are our neighbors, and we suddenly find out that they didn't come in here legally, or they came as kids and always thought that they were Americans and yet are now someone different. I think the Dreamers, in fact, sort of a perfect placeholder for mutants in this. It's a perfect kind of parallel in that idea, is because we're looking at kids that are growing up thinking they are normal, thinking they are part of the community, and now being totally excluded and totally different and pushed aside just because of who they are. So I think opening we kind of dealt with that really well, and then later on where we have Reed and Caitlin going to deal with trying to meet up with Jace, and interesting sequence of maneuvers there. We have a lot of points brought up with the ideas of the neighbors when they talk about, if we're looking around with people with their flags out and so on, as Reed's saying as they're driving, how many of them would be so concerned that their fellow Americans are being tortured? and experimented on. And I think Caitlin had the perfect response on that. I think a lot of them would be perfectly fine with it. The way our society is currently polarized in viewpoints, and however point of view that you are having, this is that kind of idea, is that we look at stereotypes at large to do blanket judgments on a community and ignore the human connections, that everybody are just people just trying to live their lives and do their things. And just because a criminal might have done one thing or been part of a particular group, that can't paint the entire group, you know, again, with a single brushstroke. And by the same idea, we have to realize that once these ideas get in and worked within the political system, that is an easy way to manipulate people, and it is not something that's so easily changed. So I really enjoyed how they just, even when Jace, when they were having a conversation on the table and Jace brought up the ideas, everything is legal. If you don't agree with it, there's a thing in this country we call a ballot box, which I think is instinctively intended to give us that sort of visceral response like, government, that's not going to work. But that is the kind of the ideas, we're looking at the idea that government is supposed to be in a way protecting the citizenry, all of the citizenry, but it is easily manipulated by people that are looking for positions of power to then use those forces to exclude and write laws and such. And you can't easily just vote them out. You know, from large political, there's gerrymandering, there's all sorts of manipulations. When you have two parties, you're choosing Jack Johnson or John Jackson half the time. What exactly is the real difference between these two, as opposed to, you know, the color preference that they have on their political flags? So the way that they, I think, really sort of set up the entire the structure of the world around to really get us to look at the fact that now we have Reed and Caitlin that used to be part of the system, seeing everything from those new points of view, that now they're not on this side of the tracks, they're on the other side. Now they're in it, and now what they believed was simply an innocent or guilty, you did something bad or you're fine, isn't exactly how the world works. And that those people in power will be using whatever means necessary in order to manipulate the public to give them what they want. Now, from a pure mechanism standpoint, you know, the conflicts I thought worked out reasonably well. A little goofy in the sense of, do you really think this is going to work? I do like that John and everyone was trying to point out in those first kind of meeting and butting heads the fact that the enemy is not in this room, that we're all on the same side. It's the idea that, yes, you can have different points of view and different ideas of going after things, but knowing that you're all working for a good common goal is a great uniting tool. And I like the fact that they did try to focus on that initially. But unfortunately, like I said, the uncertainty does allow for certain manipulations, and that was what Esme did. Really, I've been suspicious of her for a while. I like that they at least buy all in to what she is doing, and it pays perfectly up towards the end, which we will, of course, get to. But just the thought, and this is where I think Polaris was right, is the idea of going out and using the system. That didn't work last time. They should know that the system isn't exactly working for them. And the idea of trying to call judges or senators or anyone, is a ridiculous point. The idea to at least appeal directly to Jace, yes, they've had some conversation, but still quite a reach. And overall, I did enjoy the scene that they did with them. While I thought that it was sort of a ridiculous and pointless task, there were some great things that were done in the scene. One, when they came in, we had Caitlin and Rita at the door. I liked the fact that Caitlin had the gun down. Wasn't pointing it wasn't threatening, it was presenting. I have a gun, can we talk? Also, her finger was out of the trigger guard and not in where she could actually blow her toes off or something. So, good safety right there. The idea of peeling towards the kids, I definitely thought that was a mistake. The scene that we had with Jace earlier between him and Dreamer, oh, that was painful. Really felt that. but also really seeing there how Jace's motivation isn't so much the law anymore, but he is specifically making it personal. That is why he is going to this extreme, which was a perfect setup after they got through the whole scene, and at least Caitlin noticed that the two men are button heads and they're not going to get anywhere, so let's just appeal to the other mom and then we're going to get out of here. I like the fact that they did their attempt and then they kind of moved on. But of course the wife was the key because she doesn't know anything. Specifically opened the scene with letting her know that she doesn't know anything and he doesn't talk about it. So she's certainly willing to at least listen for a moment because this opens up to a little bit of her husband's world, which was good. But letting her know about the experimentation and everything else going on, it was the only way to get through. Because certainly, again, appealing to the kid and the loss and everything, that was not a path that was going to work. So when she comes up to Jace afterwards, she's running to go, which is what I was thinking. Once they get out the door, Jace is going to call and then they're going to be caught. I thought was perfect. That excellent line. What have you been doing in our daughter's name? Because that is all of Jace's motivation. And now to see what is the line that he has crossed, how would his daughter have thought about his actions and the choices that he made? That was the most humanistic approach towards things, and of course, the one that finally works. All right, and for Polaris and Eclipse, John and everyone, it was really just kind of discussions back and forth. How far are we willing to go? What are we willing to do? I like the little moment between Polaris and Eclipse there, talking about their future, the different ways of approaching things. Yes, Eclipse has seen a lot of death and destruction and how far that can go from his time with his psycho ex-girlfriend. But I think Polaris has the right point too, is what, do you want to save your kids? Is the goal here to try and save the kids from experimentation just so they can be locked up for the rest of their life? That is the best solution, that is the best opportunity that they could reach for. And is that the type of world that we want to raise a family in, that we want to raise our kid in? Which really kind of gets the stakes very clear. I thought they did that really well. They've always done it, but they, I think, poignantly brought it up really well. But the idea of what is the world that we're living to? What is it that we're trying to do? Where is it that we're trying to go? You know, what is the future that we want to work for in one way or the other? And really, I think that that was most of what was going on with all of those scenes. Now, when Esme does come up and let them know about the whole Strucker attack, of course that they are upset, that they are angry. Why? Because they didn't know. Why? Because the Struckers intentionally said, let's leave without telling anyone. Always a mistake. Always, always, always a mistake. Let people know what's going on, even if they disagree with you. At least give them that opportunity so that they know. It's not a surprise. You don't think they're trying to stab you in the back. Though I think John's idea of that we're all working together does sort of play out at this point where they see, hey, you know, if that does happen and they do try and get them out and move them, yeah. No, a lifetime behind bars isn't a good alternate, but while they're moving them, there's an opportunity to get them. So it does end up working all right for them. And of course, the same manipulator Esme already pushing herself right into that group. Now, as for our Trask Industries prisoners, some interesting moments, some very sad losses, though, like I said, not unexpected at all here. But let's start them off with the kids, with the Strucker kids here. I liked the little moments between Lauren and Andy there, where Lauren is acknowledging to Andy, hey, you made the right choice. There was a lot of innocence there. And now Andy's, of course, like, yeah, but maybe we can try and do this now. The whole experimental scene, yeah, okay. I had a few issues with that. Mainly, okay, the room is lined at adamantium. Of course it is. It makes it indestructible. And I'm first thinking, like, that stuff's hard to get to. You can't just bring that up. So I appreciated the little Wolverine lesson reference we got when they said, yeah, we got it from an abandoned the military base in British Columbia. Okay, a little leftover Wolverine stuff. All right. At least you gave a good reference, and us as fans appreciate that. But the whole experiment, I mean, look. They put them in the room, they turn off the collars, you can't destroy anything, do what you want. I like the fact that they are denying. And of course, they're going to initially deny, and then they're going to come in, and then they're going to threaten, and then they're going to go ahead and do it. I mean, this is an obvious arc, an obvious statement. It works because they're kids. And the argument that they have afterwards, after we lose poor Sonia, I'm not really going to dwell on that, because like I said, it wasn't surprising. We even got a glimpse for the preview last week that there was going to be shot, and it wasn't going to be Blink because she was reacting, and we know it's not the kids, and there was only one other person. So it didn't surprise me at all. And in fact, Dreamer has always felt almost like a secondary character, like a temporary character. She was there to be the bridge between the relationship between Clarice and John. And I know there's a lot of Dreamer fans out there, and I'm not meaning to be cruel to saying this. I'm saying how the show always made me feel about this character. So it wasn't really a big surprise that she was going to be lost. Devastating. And of course their kids are going to give Roderick what he wants because they still have Clarice. And they're going to feel bad enough at the death of Dreamer and not going to risk Clarice being bought. Yes, in the sense, by giving him what he wants, it does make Dreamer's death, Sonia's death, seem pointless. I get Lauren's argument there. But again, they're kids. What are they going to do? They're going to do what they feel they have to. Now, while they're joining hands and doing the big explosion, the whole thing I'm thinking of is, why don't you take care of those collars? In fact, the whole time they were in the room, between the first time they told Roderick no, and he came back with Dreamer and Clarice as manipulator tools, their collars were off. At that point, why wasn't Andy doing like some just little take apart, just blow a little part of it, the back thing, disconnect some stuff, and so we'll be able to... You have... I mean, I suppose they could have threatened Clarice again and they might have given in or something like that, but still, that was the only thing that I was thinking of is, why aren't you using this moment as an escape point? Don't just give him what he wants and try and do the damage. So, that kind of bummed me out. Yes, they're kids, they may not have thought about it, they were just, okay, get them, blow the wall apart, be mad, do the cool special effects stuff, which does look good, but really, should focus a little bit on just removing the things that keep you from doing it otherwise. All right, let's not wait anymore for it. It is our Scene of the Week, which is, of course, the attack on the convoy and Esme's revenge. We get a beautiful setup in the beginning of the episode that her sisters are there, that we actually probably have the Cuckoos. Got very excited throughout the episode because she's telepathically warned by her family they're coming after us in a voice just like hers to get out, which motivates her, of course, to do whatever she can in order to get back to her family. And we have a really interesting addition for a character here because we haven't really had a mutant villain. Everybody is good. Mutants are good, humans are bad. We need that villainous component. And even if she's not technically a villain, she is a self-centered person or trio, I guess we could look at here, who is willing to do anything and manipulate anyone around to get what she wants. Pretty villainous. So that adds an interesting component going forward. But I love the turnaround. I love Eclipse getting surprised there and dropped. Really showing the extent of what an evil telepath can do. Forcing all of the guards to shoot each other, shoot themselves, blow up themselves with grenades and cars. I mean, she went all the way, wiping everyone out. Could have done it peacefully. Could have just moved them and had them lock up and do whatever, but no, this is someone angry, wanting revenge. My only real issue with the whole scene is Jace surviving. His buddy shot him in the shoulder, always in the shoulder. And then shoots himself before finishing off Jace. All the other guards made sure they were blown up. They were doing grenades. Now, when the grenade guy went off, and that knocked out Jace, that might have thus removed his mind from Esme's attention, though I guess that's unconscious and it's not conscious. So, I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe she just thought that was enough, but there seemed to be enough of a specific point to kill everyone, and now Jace is the only one who survives. Who, of course, is our protagonist villain. I guess you could put him as. So he's going to be moving forward, and this is going to renew his assault and everything on that, with losing all the agents and being all mad, and certainly feeling now manipulated, because the whole deal was, move the people we're not going to attack, we just want them safe. And so we move the people, and then they attack, so he's not going to be trusting anyone. So any trusting connections, definitely gone at this point. But we do have the Cuckoos sisters. That is really exciting. I mean, not all of them, just 2 more, but green screening is a lot, so I'm fine with what we have. It is a perfect little trio, and their final line is, there's more to do. I think she's taking all the mutants for her own thing. I'm not sure if she's going back to HQ. Maybe. Again, there's a sneak preview shot that shows that she's there, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not for her own good and not their own. If you know what I mean. Alright, just a couple of small things. 1, Campbell is a sadistic psychopath. For sure. Didn't even pause when he turned and shot Sonya. Not a moment, not a threat, didn't monologue, just blam. Which I appreciate that in a villain. And certainly now the scarification really just gives him that whole perfect villain look now. So, okay. I have to hand it to Esme, did a great job of manipulating both sides. With the reads appealing to the ideas that anything's better than experimentation, and then going back with the mutants and talking about, hey, they're humans, what do you expect? Like I said, kind of evil herself. I like this reversal that's happening with Lauren and Andy. You know, Andy was the angry one and Lauren was the calm one, and now Andy is the kind of calm, optimistic one, and Lauren is the depressed, downtrodden one. I like they're playing a little back and forth with them, giving them some actual depth. Alright, so big episode, lots of changes. Sonya, rest in peace, but we got the twins at least out away from the Trask and Campbell, and we have the Cuckoo trio, triplets, I guess we call it. There might be more. There's supposed to be 5, but we do lose some. Anyway, excited. We've got some great shift out of the energy of the show, and now we're on break. 3 weeks, though. Coming back right after Christmas, and then we've got 3 more episodes before we wrap things up. So I believe it's like the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th. So very excited. Can't wait to see those. Now, if this isn't enough Marvel talk for you, later today, by the time that this is out, at 2 o'clock Pacific, I will be on Marvel Movie News with Coy Dondro and Markia McCarty. Very exciting. Going to be talking about some Venom stuff. Going to be talking about the new trailers for Jessica Jones and the animated Spider-Man movie, which looks great. So, if you need a little bit more Marvel news, come on over to the Popcorn Talk Network /Marvel Movie News and come and check out this week's episode. I am very excited to be there. So, if you enjoyed this review, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, comments, you know where to put them in the section below. What you guys think about this episode? I like the little political twists that they're doing. Were Reed and Caitlin actually having a good plan to talk to Jace, or was it doomed from the beginning? Even though it did, in a way, sort of kind of work. And what about Esme and the Cuckoos? Are you excited that they're here? Of course you are. Let me know down in the section below. And you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. Quick, easy, hit this button. Don't miss any of the reviews when we come back. Plus Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Legion, lots of stuff next year. Don't miss any of it. And we'll throw up our latest couple of reviews right here. All right, so that's it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.